imagine just being a small girl and being taught that unless you meet this high bar and unless you are perfect in all facets, no one will love you. That was basically what I internalized as a child. Looking back, it all makes sense why my entire 20s I was a people pleaser. Because in my mind, I'm like, no one's gonna love me and I'm not gonna have value unless I give endlessly, unless I'm the martyr. So now
Yeah.
it's really significant for me having a daughter, having a little girl. I always ask myself, well, how can I change? How can I break this pattern with her? Is there a way that I can start teaching her from a very young age? It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to put your needs first. It's not selfish. In fact, you will actually serve others better.
I'm Mariana, and this is Inner Lives, a podcast exploring the complexity, the contradictions, and the unfolding of being a woman in the modern world. What happens when the life we thought we wanted falls apart? When the roles we believed would bring us love, safety, or fulfillment end up revealing parts of ourselves we were never prepared to meet. Today's conversation is with Megan Salis, a senior L&D instructor, writer, and single mother whose story explores the emotional cost of trying to hold everything together through self-sacrifice. We talk about romantic fantasy, anxious attachment, motherhood, divorce, loneliness, identity, and the moment a woman realizes she cannot continue saving everyone at the expense of herself. What emerged from this conversation is not a story about failure, but about awakening. I hope you enjoy it. All right, Megan, I'm very excited to have you here. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
And I would love to start just asking you to peel away like the mask that we usually put in society when we introduce ourselves. We kind of think about we kind of usually talk about our resume. So if I were
Mm-hmm.
to take your resume completely out of it, I'm interested in the woman. What would you
Mm-hmm.
describe who you are right now as
Mm-hmm.
a person?
Oh, I love that question, partly because when I do tell my day job to people, they have no idea what the hell it is. And so
Yes.
I would prefer not talking about my resume, but hello guys, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm super excited to be here. So who am I when I'm not my day job? Ooh,
Mm,
that's a juicy question. I think right now in this season of my life, because I do believe that identity changes, and that's what I love about just being human. Like we're so fluid, right? Like I'm
mm.
sure you, Mariana, like 2 years ago, you probably identified as had some different labels, if you will. For me
Yes.
in this season, right now, my focus is being an author. So I have attempted some creative projects in the past, like content creation and whatnot. It's been fun. But right now, I'm really super focused on writing a book. It's a fiction book.
Mm.
It's drawing heavily from experiences in my own life. I like to think about it as kind of alchemizing just kind of the hardships and the sufferings that I went through, like with my marriage breaking apart, like becoming a single mom, navigating that, and just kind of like alchemizing that into like a unique. It's a romance story, so it's a lot of fun. But it's
Oh.
just nice to have a creative project where I'm not tied to like, oh my gosh, got to optimize for the algorithm, got to stick to a schedule,
So is it
because
fiction?
it's fiction.
Okay.
With kind of like I don't know how to describe it. It's got like some sci-fi, like interstellar-y, like elements where you have to suspend your belief and logic a bit. But yeah, the main
Okay.
reason I pivoted was because just I do work a 9 to 5 as a single mom, so it's been really hard to be a content creator. You know this, Mariana.
So just for context, yeah. For
Yeah,
context, then what do you do 9 to 5? Because
nine
you're
to
doing
five.
something completely different with the
Yeah.
book then.
So my regular job, when I'm being a regular person trying to pay bills and make money, I am a senior instructional designer. I've worked for several companies, but right now I work in the fintech space. Mariana and I were just chatting before the
Mhm.
episode. But basically, what that is I create training for people. So regardless what it is, whether it's an in-person training, virtual in-person training, those e-learns that I'm sure everyone has clicked through, like click next, click the tabs. That's what I
Mm.
do. Corporate trainer.
Okay, so back to the book.
Hmm.
You created this fiction story.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, and you said my focus is to become an author. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that is an endeavor that is, in a way, for to tap into your creative power, for maybe some healing into your story
Mhm.
because you're drawing inspiration from that? What do you think?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh my gosh. I feel like it's all of the above. It's for me, it's kind of like a love letter to myself. Because my main character, so it's a romance, right? We have the guy and the girl. Both of them are kind of like who I was at some point in the past. Like the girl, she's very competent woman. So speaking of like complex women, right? She's very competent. She's like a leader in her team, but she's also very anxious. She's been betrayed in the past. I'm sure all women can relate to that. And then my guy,
Mm.
he is an alcoholic in recovery, right? He's young but mature. I also have a history of alcoholism. I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's a big part of my story. So that's number one. It is kind of like a love letter to myself. It's also for my daughter. I'd love for her to
Mm.
grow up and be like, "Oh my gosh, mommy wrote this book and she did it." Like this is like the one thing that I want to do in my life. If I can just get this one book done, it's not going to be a series or anything. Like if I could just get this one thing
Mm.
done, have my daughter draw inspiration from it. I want women to read it and see themselves in it. I want
Mm.
men to read it too. Like my guy character, not to spoil anything, but he like grief is something that I went through in my life as well. Specifically with like stillbirth and miscarriage. And again, I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this. But I feel like we don't often hear from the guys. And that's been an interesting part of my story is I actually got to see like part of my relationship with my ex. What's really interesting is that we went through so much together. This is the father of my daughter. But when people ask me like how I feel about it, I have no resentments.
Mm.
Totally at peace. In fact, we're friends. It's kind of a weird relationship we have now. I
Wow.
joke that he's kind of like my little brother now that I'm like, oh my gosh, go away. I don't want to talk to you right now. But we're still friends. We're still friends. I have no hard feelings. I feel like I learned a lot being with him. We were together for like 7 years. And part of what I saw now looking back, in retrospect at my life and the
Mm.
traumas we went through, because we did lose another daughter together, was I got to kind of see from the outside how a guy deals with grief. And we don't talk a lot about that because as you know, in
Yeah.
our patriarchal society, guys are taught to like hold their feelings in. And like I saw that. At the time when we were going through that trauma together, like all I saw was like, oh my gosh, you cheated on me. Oh, you did this, you did that. You're not grieving for our daughter the same as me. But now being like 5, 6 years out and having healed from that, I'm like, I can actually sit with my ex now and be like, oh my gosh, we lived through that together. And I
Mm.
respect your experience. I respect the way that you were grieving. And I'm sorry I did not understand that. I'm sorry that I was trying to force my way of grieving on you. You know what I mean? So I know I'm going in a rabbit hole, but that's also part of my book, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot mixed into one book, but that's why this creative endeavor is so important for me, because it's like if people were to read it, they'll be like, oh my gosh, these are such interesting experiences, like an alcoholic grieving over a baby, like a single mom, these two getting together. It's what an interesting amalgamation of
Mm.
experiences. But it would be really cool to tell people, like,
Mm.
I know I'm being delulu, but like when I am a published author, to be like, you know what, I every single thing you read in that book, I actually went through it. Like I whether it's the alcoholism or the grief or whatever it is, I went through it. And so that's why I'm writing from a place of like just complete,
Knowing.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, no masks. I'm not performing. I just want people to read it and see themselves in it, because I think
Mm.
there's beauty and there's power in like in honesty. And this is a kind of book that I wish I had read in the past, because when I was in the depths of like, oh my gosh, I like my husband having an affair. Oh my gosh, I lost this child that I carried in my belly for like 7 months. Like when you're in it, when you're in that trauma, it's so hard to see beyond
Mm.
the current moment. And I want people all around the world to have something that can like get them through the night, to just read something and be like, oh my gosh, like this is so weird, but this character knows what I'm going through. This very specific feeling, like this person has managed to write it down on a page.
Yeah.
So no, a lot of this is Delulu, but that's kind of my vision, and that's why I'm really taking my time with this book. Um, but yeah.
Well, I think all authors who create fiction have a little delulu happening because
Mm-hmm.
it's so wonderful how they can weave in there such interesting real life topics
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
into very fantastical stories.
Right, right.
And it sounds like this book is putting together a melting pot of emotions and experiences that
Mm-hmm.
reflect you and and your healing process. And yeah, it's so cool to hear that.
Thank
I
you.
would love to then, you kind of touched on many topics of your life. So I would love to kind of maybe zoom back in
Mm-hmm.
time and hear from you. What what did you grow up believing love womanhood and family were supposed to look like?
Ooh, good question. So I grew up in a Christian household, so I feel like that's one factor that was like feeding into my belief systems, right?
Mm.
Of what I thought a successful woman, a successful human should be. So that's one factor is Christianity. And I have nothing against it. Like right now, I still consider myself spiritual, but I don't subscribe to one specific religion, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Another factor is like my culture. So I am Filipino. I did grow up in that very stereotypical, rigid Asian household. Like already from a very young age, the bar was like up here. And like if I did not meet that very high bar, it's like I'm not going to get any credit or any attention. So I think
And
that really fed
what
in.
was the bar? Like, the
Oh my
bar,
gosh.
what did you have to be?
Just with everything, like with grades, like A plus, and that's it. Like it was a very black and white sort of like, and I'm not discrediting my parents at all. Like I know
Mhm.
all parents, we do the best that we can, right? But it was
Yes.
just like, imagine just being a small girl and being taught that unless you meet this high bar and unless you are perfect and excellent in everything you do, and unless everyone likes you and unless you're just perfect in all facets, no one will love you. That was basically what I internalized as a child, which now, as a 34-year-old, again, looking back, it all makes sense. Why my entire 20s, I was a people pleaser. Why I did end up in a relationship where I ended up being fine, supporting a man, a full grown man, and being the main breadwinner and thinking that was totally okay. Because in my mind, I'm like, no one's going to love me and I'm not going to have value unless I give endlessly, unless I'm the martyr, right?
Mm.
The concept of like self-care and soft life and hey, take some time for yourself to exercise, take some time for yourself to de-stress, not even a concept in my mind for a good like throughout my whole 20s, not even a concept. All because all I knew and all I learned as a child was you have to be perfect, you have to give endlessly to others if you want value, otherwise you're worthless. So I know that's kind of
Mm.
sad,
No,
but honestly that was what I
do you think that we women, because I hear this a lot, from friends,
Sure.
family, other interviews, do you think women are quietly taught from a very young age to self-sacrifice so that
Uh-huh.
we're able to be lovable and seen as successful as women?
I want to say yes, just from like, again, I'm not a sociologist or whatever. I'm sure we can find someone who like they specialize in this field, but I am like so sure because I was in the content space and I did talk with a lot of women and see women's
Mm.
comments coming in my content about like, I would talk about this stuff, right? Like the martyr concept or like the domestic load at home. And it's like, I was validated. My experience was validated cross culturally from like, oh, this woman in Brazil or a woman, like it just baffled my mind how
Yes.
it doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter if you're boyfriend, girlfriend, if you're married, if you're in a domestic partnership. Like a lot of the times, again, I'm not a sociologist. I don't want to say this definitively,
Yeah.
but just anecdotally. And again, looking at my mom, I mean, my mom's relationship with my dad, my grandparents, my
Mhm.
family, like I just see it everywhere. Pop culture,
Yeah.
the movies we watch, the shows we watch, it's just so it's the norm, it's the default, so we don't even think twice about it. Which is why it's I really want to teach my daughter from a young age. I don't want her to be in her
Mm.
30s to learn this lesson. That was my story. Didn't learn any of this stuff till I got through the crap, right? So now
Yeah.
it's really significant for me having a daughter, having a little girl. I always ask myself, well, how can I change? How can I break this pattern with
Mm.
her? Is there a way that I can start teaching her from a very young age? You know what? It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to put your needs first. It's not selfish. In fact, you will actually serve others better and you will serve the world better. Like that cliche when you're operating from a full cup. Um
Yes.
but yeah, that's I don't know if I went on a
The
tangent there,
real
but
cliche. No, and yeah, I mean, when you reflect back, it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's been 4 years, right,
mhm.
since
Mhm.
she was born and
Yes.
you became a solo parent.
Yes, yes.
Um, how do you reflect back that to her and teach her? What are some of the things you do?
Oh, well, I don't know if this is helping, but I try to just well, first of all, she's very young. So if I try to like tell her
Yeah.
like I can't get too deep into this, but like I don't know. I try to be a good role model for her and just in my countenance, I guess, and in my attitude and how I face the daily challenges of her life. Um, I don't know if that's kind of vague, but like I try to stay calm. I think there's a lot of power in that. Like her seeing me not react Like, oh my gosh, this is catastrophic. Oh, like whether it's something small like coffee spills on my shirt or we're in traffic or her dad comes over.
Mm.
I think she can sense that they're, because she asks me like, why aren't you guys together anymore? Why aren't you?
Mm.
And I have to, but I think it's important that when I respond to her, I'm not villainizing him. I
Mm.
feel like I see that a lot when people who are broken up or whatever, and that's fine. I don't know your story. Like you have every right to be resentful or whatever. But for me, I personally find no value in resentment. I would rather, yeah, sit in the feelings, honor my feelings, but then extract the lesson from it and move on. I really don't think there's any value in just steeping in resentment. And that's kind of been my journey the last 4 years. And that's what I want my daughter to see. I want her to see me and her father coexisting peacefully as grown, responsible adults. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I don't want her to see us fighting simply because we had this trauma together and that we broke up and yada yada. I want her to be like, oh, look, mom and dad are sitting together and they're fine. Even if we're not living together as a family, we're fine. So I guess that's one little subtle way that I try to just be a good role model for, is how I act and how I speak about other people. I try to speak with respect about other people, regardless of the history you've been with. And when she gets older, when she's not 4 anymore and she can actually grasp more complex topics, then I
Yeah.
will start talking about like what we've been talking about. Like, hey, like, again, speaking up for yourself, being assertive. I think she's gonna be fine in that respect, honestly. She's really like, she's really sassy. So I'm
Yeah.
like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't think I
I
have to
feel
do
like
too
kids
much
are
work there.
born already
Yes.
confident, and maybe
Yes.
to
It's
your
about retaining
point
that.
is we lose through
Yes.
social norms, but
Yes.
yeah.
That's exactly it. I want to tell her, like, look, don't lose that about yourself.
Mm.
Like you're like, all of us, not even my daughter, but all of us are born into this world like fresh and untainted, right? And we, like, when we're kids, like, we just know how to speak up for ourselves. We have this entitlement, like, yo, I deserve love, I deserve attention. And like, to what you said, we lose that just by growing up in this world, in this society. So
Yeah.
if my only achievement as a parent is to get her to retain that part of her as long as she can and as authentically as she can, then I feel like I have done my job as a parent. So
Yeah. Beautifully said. And yeah, she's gonna grow up seeing your role model. I'm interested again to go back to that little girl of you who was, okay, I need to caregive. I need to
mm-hmm,
sacrifice in order to be seen, to be successful. And then
mm-hmm,
you go
mm-hmm,
about supporting your partner emotionally, it seems, and
uh-huh,
financially for years.
uh-huh.
Uh, do you think that's what you thought love was at the time, and that's what made you go through it? Or I'm interested, like, what was the fantasy in your mind back then,
Mm-hmm,
carrying you through the relationship?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh gosh, man, these are some juicy questions. What did I think love was? You know what? I'm gonna be like real and honest here. I think that my perception of love and romance was warped and unrealistic back then. Again, I don't say this from like, oh, you were so dumb back then, Megan. No, I say this from like,
Mm.
if I could talk to my younger self, like 25-year-old Megan, what I want to do is just hug her and be like,
Yeah, what'd you
give
say
her
to
all
her?
the, I would be like, you've got yourself already. You've got
Mm.
yourself. Love and romance should be an addition to your life. You need to be whole
Mm.
in yourself first before you add someone else. I didn't know that. And I wish I could go back in time and tell her, like, look, there's nothing wrong with love. There's nothing wrong with romance. There's nothing wrong with jet setting and traveling with the love of your life, which is what my relationship with my ex was. It was very romantic in the beginning because we had that very like, oh, travel everywhere, backpack everywhere experience, right? But internally, I didn't know that I was operating from this anxious, needy sort of angle. It like there was this hole I was trying to fill using him. And I did not know that for years. And in a way, that's not fair to the other person, too. And I've had these chats with my ex already. Long after we've broken up, I've been like, I told him, look, like, I'm sorry that I used you for that. I'm sorry that I tried to use you to like fulfill my own insecurities, you know?
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's really,
That's so mature of you to
it's
have
really,
had even this conversation afterwards to
yeah.
realize
But
that,
it
and
took
so
years.
kind.
It took years
Yeah.
to get to that point. Yeah, but I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I thought love was a way to, for me, if I could put a name to it, it was a way for me to validate my own value. which is sick and twisted and selfish. And it's only now, again, at 34 years old, that I can now understand my 25-year-old mind, which was when I met my ex. I was using him. I was like, oh, he likes me. Oh, he's kind of, and the thing with like, now we're getting into psychology attachment styles. I was a former anxious attachment style, which I'm sure you could pick up on. I gravitated a lot towards those emotionally unavailable, avoidant men, because I'm like, in my mind, it's a challenge. Like, oh, if I can get this unavailable, emotionally avoidant man to love me, then I've done the unachievable. That means I really am valuable. If I can not only like hook a regular guy, but also one who's avoidant, oh man, that means I can really do the thing. I can really keep someone. And so, yeah, I mean, I did love him. I don't want it to make it seem like, oh, I just used this guy. I did love him, of course, but deep down inside, and this is something, again, that you only learn this if you do therapy, if you really take your inner work seriously. And again, being solo and like celibate and alone the past 4 years, I've had a lot of time in my head to think about these things. But when you're in a relationship, sometimes you don't get that alone time. And so a lot of people, not just me, they will go years in this sort of kind of like needy mentality and not even know it, because they haven't had a single moment to just sit with themselves and really reflect on this. Because when you're in a relationship, you know this, it's another full-time job, right?
Yes.
So I am grateful for this solo era, because had I not had this time, yes, it's been lonely. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how lonely it's been, but it's been so good for me, like mentally and emotionally, because I would not have had the time and space to really reflect on this stuff as I've had. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things that are in the past 4 years, again, solo, that have been looping through your head? You've mentioned already, like, just having more space to think, but is there anything that, like, keeps popping into your head? Like, literally inside, like, those little voices of, like, wow, or maybe it's not continuous, maybe it's, new things that have come up and developed over time.
Yeah. That's, again, very great questions. I love them. So it's not really, when you said voices in your head, it's not really voices is what's coming to me. And I hope this does answer your question, but it's more like patterns. And what I want to convey is that it's possible to be healing and to have healed a lot, but it's still going to feel kind of like what's that saying? Like 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. Like if you zoom out, you're making progress.
Yes.
I'm talking about internal growth, but you're still going to fall back on those old patterns, because patterns are hard to break. So for me, past 4 years, not going to lie, like I said, it gets lonely. And there's a woman out there, especially if you're a single mom. I feel you, girl. It is lonely. Yes, you love your children, but you're like, yo, I want a dude in my bed. Okay, or a woman, whatever. Let's just be real. It gets lonely. I have tried the whole dating apps thing, played with that a little bit, like talking to people. And what's interesting is that, like, I think this happened maybe 1 or 2 years ago. I was in conversation with a guy that I met in one of the apps. And at that point, I was already 2 years broken up from my ex, and I'd done a lot of internal work already. I was very proud of myself for like, oh, I'm so enlightened. I learned a lot of stuff about myself. So I thought that I was in this really great spot to like start meeting people again. And in retrospect, now it's been 2 years from that experience, right? Looking back at that experience with that dude, eventually we ended up kind of breaking it off. He was like, look, I don't want you to get attached to me, so I'm going to do the right thing and break it off. And I was like, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. But I went back home and I'm like, what? Like, I was still so like butthurt over it. And so now I'm telling this story because I want to convey that, like, I was already like 2 years healed by then, but I was still exhibiting these anxious patterns that I did not even know I was doing it until I'm sitting here today with you. Looking back at that experience, I was sending those long defensive texts. I was that woman who was like, why are you not texting me back? Like, do you not value me? Like, I was doing all that stuff that I thought I had already healed from. And what I've learned today is that, like, again, going back to what I said before, is like, I've got me. I've already got me. It doesn't matter if Joe, Jake, Jack chooses me. Who cares? It doesn't matter if they choose me. If they want to stay, great. If they want to leave, great. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I choose me. I've always got my back. I already have my value. I've already been living my life before Jake came, and I will live my life after Jack leaves. Jake. I'm just choosing random names. That's what I really needed to learn. And I thought I did, but then it's like, I will exhibit these patterns. What's important is that you catch yourself. When I do catch myself sending that long rambling text, oh, why weren't you texting me back? Or like me getting anxious because some guy is not texting me back within 2 hours. You know what I mean? These are little things that, like, I tell myself, just choose yourself. every single time that you choose yourself over spiraling, over getting anxious about a text, or, you know, that's when I'm like, I know that I'm healing. Because in the past, I would have just done the old thing, right? But now I'm just choosing myself over and over and over again until it becomes this automatic thing that I do. I choose myself, not in a selfish way, but like that I'm not using other people as a crutch, again, to validate myself, to give myself that value. So I hope that answered your question
No,
about like
yeah.
the
And
past 4 years.
I'm curious then, do you think these old patterns coming back, yes, in a way, like we're wired that way as we're growing up, but
Mm-hmm.
do you think it was you looking for that fantasy of the perfect family again, of the perfect relationship?
In a way,
And
yeah.
and then maybe again you finding a new way to rewire and finding your own way of the perfect family. Like
Yeah.
I guess let me rephrase this. Do you think you had this fantasy of the perfect relationship and the perfect family, and do you think you still carry that?
Mm-hmm. Not so much right now in this current moment, but yeah, during my 4 years of solo and healing, that fantasy, as you call it, or that vision or that concept of
Mm.
what does a good relationship look like? What does a perfect relationship look like? It's been evolving. Oh, that's interesting. I said perfect relationship. I think that's been the biggest mental switch for me is now I
Mm.
know there's no such thing as perfect. And I think in my 20s, I was clinging to that. Oh, perfect relationship looks like we text each other all the time. We talk all the time. We're open all the time. We grieve the same way. Again, I was so like, hadn't. It's strange because in my mind, I was the perfect wife. I was so giving and I was taking care of all the finances. And I didn't see kind of the dark side of it was that I was like not letting him be his own person, you know? But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no perfect. And if I could just add one last thing, stoicism has really saved me. Like I know I mentioned I was a content creator in the past. Untouchable Babes was my podcast. It's still out there. I don't make episodes anymore, but it's all about stoicism, and that's a
Mm.
philosophy that I try to apply in my love life with my kid, like all of that. It's not being attached to outcomes. And I think that was another thing that was kind of holding me back in my relationships was I was attached to this outcome. Oh, perfect love equals we're gonna have a family. We're gonna have kids. Again, all the things that I listed earlier. We're gonna communicate
Yeah.
perfectly, blah blah blah. And now I know it's like, you know what? I don't need to prescribe outcomes or labels to this. I can just let it be. I can let it be this
Mm.
organic thing, and I can enjoy it. And I think that's my mindset now. Now I'm like, yeah, I am open to dating. I'm not actively seeking it out, but it's like, hey, if a dude chats me up, okay, I'm going to chat back and see where this goes. But see, that's the key switch is I'm now saying, let's see where this goes instead of, oh, I see potential and I think I'm going to like latch onto this. Like, you know what I mean? Because in the past, I was always looking for that potential, that sliver of
Mhm.
potential that I could then exploit. And if I could keep this person, this dude or whatever, oh, it's going to reflect my own value back to me. That was my twisted thinking back then. Now, that's not how I think at all. Now I look at every interaction. And again, it's just going back to the dating world, just to keep it simple. If I do make a connection with a guy, I'm going to honor it. I'm going to let it flow. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be in my feminine energy and enjoy it, but I'm not going to prescribe outcomes to it. If, again, as I said this earlier, if he wants to leave, if he decides to leave or ghost, I'm not going to send the rambling text back. I'm going to be like, okay, well, that's data for me. That just means we're not a good fit, and that's okay. I enjoyed the connection while it lasted, whether it was 1 week or 1 year or 2 years. It's just such a freeing feeling to just take my
Mm.
what's coming to my mind is like fists, like closed fists. This was me in my 20s, just like gotta keep everything. Now it's like my hands are open, and I'm like, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. And it's just such a freeing feeling because again, and I know I said this before, I've got me. At the end of the day, I got me. So if at the end of the day I had got no one left in my corner, like that's fine. So yeah, that's been the biggest evolution in how I think of romance and love. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's romance and love. So if you were to look back regarding motherhood, what were you hoping that motherhood would fix for you back then?
Oh, what would it have it fix for me? I don't know. I feel like people are going to judge me for this, but like, I think it's kind of stemming from that same sort of needy, insecure place that I was latching onto my ex for. It's like, oh, if I can like I don't know. It's just I was raised with this thing like I need to just help other people. I need to lift other people up, even if it means bringing me down. Like, and I
Mm.
guess I saw motherhood as another avenue for that. Like, hey, another thing I can add onto my list of successes. Oh, look, Megan's so successful. She's not only this awesome wife who is the main breadwinner and taking care of everything, but she's also an awesome mom and she's raising her kid. Like, in my mind, it was, I know people are going to judge me, but it's like, of course I love my daughter. Of course I love being a mom. But when you're operating from that wounded feminine space of like, oh, gotta validate myself, even if you don't want to admit it, that's really where you're operating from. Is
Yeah.
your intentions are not really the most pure.
Mm.
But yeah, I really do think now that I'm reflecting back on it, it's probably stemming from the same place of like, I'm trying to prove something to people and I don't know why. That's the thing. I don't know why. And that's where I'm at now at 34. I'm done performing.
Mm.
I think I was performing a lot, but now I'm done performing. I'm going to just be who I am. And if you don't like it, like, okay, great. Nice to meet you. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to stay a little bit more on that early days of actually motherhood, because you talked about the fantasy and how that carried you.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious, like, is there a memory from those early, like the postpartum, or maybe it was pregnancy,
Uh-huh.
where
Uh-huh.
you realize, like, boom, it hit you, or maybe it was a series of moments
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh.
you were like, oh, this is not what I thought, or this is actually not real. It doesn't feel
Uh-huh.
real. It was a lie, or
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
society told me a lie. Like, yeah. Is
Yeah.
there any memory that sticks out?
So many, so many, but there's one that comes immediately to my mind. I think it was like I was back in LA in our apartment. My ex was trucking, of course. I was alone, like all the time because he was always gone. It was like 3 a.m. I was like at the dining room table. I was pumping. And I had already been up, like, you know this, you're a mom. I'd already been up like a bajillion times at night,
Yes.
gotten like 10 minutes of sleep. I had like 1 month of mat leave and I was due to go back to work like the next Monday. And I had wanted to do some things like, check your email, get your things in order before going back
Mm.
to work. And I was just sitting there pumping and I just felt so, I don't even have a word for it. I was just like, it's what you said. It's like, I had read all the books. I had taken all the courses on breastfeeding and all of that. And like, I'd done all the right things. I'm a very type A
Mhm.
person, if you couldn't tell. I am that planner. I love
Yeah.
spreadsheets, all that. So when it comes to, I studied everything. Okay. But I'm sitting here at this table pumping, feeling so, an amalgamation of emotions, one of them being guilt. Like, oh my gosh, how dare you feel this way? What a blessing, especially because I have that history of loss. I did want a
Mm.
child. I'd already lost
Yes.
one. And so I'm in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, you ungrateful little, like, I can't even tell you how mean I was back then, the way I spoke to myself. But it was like, you're so ungrateful. God gave you this other child, and now look at how you're feeling. Like, how dare you? You should be like so happy for all of this. But then another part of me is like, I've gotten 5 minutes of sleep the past 1 week. I have no one here helping me. I'm probably gonna quit this job. And I don't even know if I can get a new one. And in my
Mm.
mind, everything's collapsing. It's projecting into the future, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? I have this little girl. How am I gonna support her? My husband's never here. And even then he still makes less than me. Like, we need this job. And I did eventually end up quitting. But to your question, that was kind of like I was sitting there at that table being like, you can read all the books you want, you can take all the courses you want, but nothing is gonna prepare you for motherhood until it's one of those things you just gotta live, you gotta just get through it. And so that was kind of my epiphany at that moment. It's like, yeah, those books you read did shit. Did jack shit. Like, you just, yeah. So, yeah, that was the
Yeah,
moment.
because they prepare you for, I mean,
I don't
not
even remember. It's
much,
like,
really. They don't
yeah.
prepare you for these raw moments. So,
Mm-hmm.
in these raw moments, you said there was that one, but there were other ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Lots.
it, Lots, I'm sure, and I've had my share as well. Do you feel like it clarified for you what the problems were in the relationship in your life, or do you think it just intensified them, or both?
I think the clarity came after. Like after my ex and I
Where
broke up,
when it Okay.
yeah, I really needed that space away from him and away from
Mm.
like because we were already breaking apart and I just didn't want to admit it. Again, we had come from a history of trauma and a previous affair and like we were just trying to make it work. Like just to kind of give you some context, the timing was impeccable. I felt like when he had his affair and I was ready to break up, I found out I was pregnant. And this was
Wow.
literally after we had buried our other daughter. Like it was like boom, 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 back to back. And so in my mind,
I'm
I don't know
so
if I was
sorry,
hormonal.
Megan.
Oh, thank you so much. But I was
You
like, oh my gosh, we
deserve
have
to
this
hear
child.
that over and over again. It's
Yeah.
I
But that's
can't
why we
even
ended up where we
imagine.
were. I was like, let's make this work. Like, yo, like, okay, yeah, you had your affair, whatever. Okay, let's go to couples therapy. We have this child. Let's do what we need to do to make it work. And I think that's why fast forwarding to that moment where I'm sitting at the table pumping, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, we did our best. But I don't know. It was the moment my brain was like, is it possible that this is not for me? This is not the way it's supposed to go. You literally did everything you could to make it work, but maybe this is not the way.
Mm.
But yeah, going back to your question, I think the clarity came after. When I was in the thick of it, like again, a lot of breastfeeding, like you know this, like waking up, me looking at my husband kind of just sleeping in bed, like, well, lucky you, you get to sleep, and I'm here like for the 30th time, like breastfeeding. In the moment, I feel like it was so muddled for me. It was a lot of it was a lot going on because I was still grieving and all that. And I truly feel like I had to get out of the relationship first and be in my solo
Mm.
period to get that clarity because otherwise I was too distracted with everything going on. Yeah.
So again, I mean, you have this moment pumping when he's gone of the house and you realize these things
Mm-hmm.
about motherhood not being what you expected. But what about, was there a moment where you realized, maybe this is not for me and maybe I can survive losing this marriage?
Yeah. So I know the two of us were chatting before you hit record, but it was when I found the strength to be like, you know what, I'm gonna make an executive decision to move back to Utah. So just to give your listeners some context, I had lived in Utah already. I had brought my ex to the States on a spousal visa, and I wanted him to meet my parents who lived in Utah. We moved to LA for a couple years, had our baby there. So that's the context. So the sitting at the table pumping, I was in LA at the time. Um, I made the decision to quit my job, first of all. And number two, I just needed a support system because my ex was always gone. So I was like, you know what? As much as I don't really like Utah, it doesn't jive with me. I'm more of like a city girl and all that. Like, again, going back to just my personal needs and desires, like Utah is not really my top place. I love it. I know a lot of people love it, but I had to make a decision to be like, you know what? I'm going to put my own desires aside to do what's right for this little girl. This little baby, I need to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't even take a walk in my neighborhood without getting harassed by like a homeless person. Like that was where I was at. I was like just alone,
Mm.
couldn't even do things for myself because our neighborhood wasn't very safe. And so I was like, I had to just suck up my ego and call my parents and be like, hey, can I stay with y'all for a little bit until I figure my life out? Because I don't have a job right now. I was the primary breadwinner. I have this like 1 month old. I had to just do that. And so that was how I ended up here. And I think to your question, that was the moment that I realized like motherhood ain't no joke. Like parenthood's no joke. You really do you have to sacrifice. You have to just put aside your own. And I think that's the thing. Growing up, when I thought about motherhood and like romance, I didn't think about this serious stuff. I was like, oh, romantic, cute, little mini me. And like, this was the moment that I'm like, this shit's real. Because now I don't have a job. I'm losing this apartment. I'm leaving the city that I love to go back to a place that I don't want to because it's what's right for my daughter. And oh, by the way, my marriage may be ending. I'm pretty sure my husband's cheating on me again. All these things going on, right? Meanwhile, I have like $10 in my savings account. Like it's just so much. Like, you know how when you're in that survival state, you don't even, all you're thinking about is like, where do I get my money next? That's why I wanted to go home to my parents. I want to just figure shit out.
Yeah.
But to your
You
question, that
wanted a
was
safe place, it sounds like.
exactly because I was just in survival mode and I was everything that I thought that I had, I was now losing. So going back, remember my image of like clutched fingers?
Mm-hmm.
I lived my whole 20s thinking if I only held on like this, I could keep everything. Me choosing to move back to Utah and like in my mind already kind of mentally being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this marriage. That was when I was realizing it was life's reality check for me. Like, you know what, Megan? You can clutch your fists all you want, but that's not life. You're going to have to let some things go. And that was where I think the illusion snapped for me. Like you cannot hold on to everything. So I think that was the moment. And then when I talked to my ex about it, it was exactly what I expected. He blamed me. He was like, you're breaking up the family. We can just hire a nanny. I'm like, well, what money? Are you the breadwinner?
Are you gonna get a different job?
Yeah, I was like, he had the audacity.
About it all?
Right.
Wow.
And past Megan would have been like, oh my God, yeah, like, let me make you happy. But that was the moment that I actually put my foot down. I'm like, you know what? You're not right here. Like, I'm going to do this. Even if you don't want to come, okay, fine, stay in LA. I'm going to go back to Utah because like our daughter needs to be like in a safe place where I can support her as a mom. If you want to come join me, fine. But like, I hope you join me. I hope we keep this marriage. That was where we were at. It was super unstable. And just to kind of give your listeners some context, it didn't work out. I finally dragged him to Utah. We tried to live together. Didn't work out. But yeah, that was where, again, the illusion of this perfect little family life just kind of came crashing down. And that was the space that I personally needed to kind of like, again, sit with myself, figure out my own values, and then start rebuilding my life again.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
No, you talked about old Megan, right? Like you refer to yourself as like your old self back then. Like how radically different are you today from that person of even 2 years ago, but maybe 4 years ago?
So different. It's so incredibly different. And a lot of it's like the mindset. I'm laughing because it's just funny. Like if I could go back in time and speak to her, I feel like she wouldn't even know what to say. I feel like she would be speechless, like absolutely speechless. And I consider myself someone who's good with words and good with communicating. And I know that she would be like, I don't even know what to say.
Would she even believe you?
No,
like
probably
say,
not.
Like you could,
no,
go back and say like, girl, don't do this. Or like, open your fists. Would she believe you?
No. She was very much like, oh my gosh, like, it's like what you see in the movies. Like when I tell this story, like, and again, I have no resentments anymore. I look back on meeting my ex fondly. It was like, that overseas story. Like, oh, like we met overseas. We're going to travel together, blah, blah, blah. Like it was beautiful. And I loved having that experience. Right. And that was the mindset that old Megan was at. She was like, oh, a world of possibility and romance and exploration. And like, if I had gone back in time and be like, you know what, this is all going to blow up in your face. She wouldn't have been like, go away. Stop ruining my vibe. You know what I mean? But I had to go through that. Yeah.
In this romance story that old Megan thought she was building, even though there were cracks to the story, right? Was there any side character helping her? Like, was there anyone, your parents, family, friends, other women, maybe, that pointed out, and again, maybe you would not have listened or did not listen to them, but was there anyone supporting you?
You know what? I love this question because that leads into another major realization that I've had in my 30s, which is don't abandon your tribe. Don't abandon your folks, your family, your loved ones, because I made that mistake when I was in my 20s. I still had friends and I still kept in touch, but I was traveling at the time. Just to give you guys some context, I was long-term traveling. My ex in Morocco, we traveled a bunch of countries together, lived in a bunch of countries together. And I was very much that girl. Like, do you have a friend where as soon as they're in a relationship, they're kind of like, you don't hear from them for a while? Yeah. Or can you think of someone? That was me. It's because it's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, bye guys. I'm checked out. I'm with my dude. Like that was me. And looking back, I really wish I hadn't done that. I really wish I had really stuck true to my tribe and be like, you know what? Again, it's fine to have a romance. It's fine to have a relationship, but make it an addition to your life. It shouldn't consume your life. And that was another one of my mistakes is like, where was my tribe? Where were those women, those mentors? Again, I was an alcoholic before I was traveling. I was in AA. I went to AA meetings. When I started traveling, I stopped that. I'm like, I don't need that anymore. I'm fine. I'm evolved.
Mm.
Yeah, well, ended up relapsing in Korea where we had our stillborn daughter. But that's the thing. It's like we humans, we think we've got it all figured out. Especially when you admit, oh, you know what? I've done X years of therapy. In my case, I was an alcoholic. Oh, I've already been sober, I think 6 years. I've already been sober 6 years. I'm good. I don't need this anymore. Looking back at that time, I really see now that I had just totally isolated myself. I had put, you know what's coming to my mind? You know, like the snow globe? You shake
Yes.
it, the snow falls down. It's like you look inside this ball and it's like this perfect little world, but it's this ball and it's contained and it's siloed and it's alone. It's away. And that was
Mm.
me. I was in this snow globe of like travel and love for like many, many years with my ex. And it was beautiful. And it wasn't until I was out of it, like again, breaking up, becoming a mom, that I was like, I felt like my eyes had opened. I was like, oh my gosh, where have I been? Why did I abandon my tribe? Why did I abandon my folks? You know, why have I not been talking to my sister as much? Why have I not been talking to my mom as much? Going to meetings, like all that stuff that I use for me, I had used that relationship as like a salve, a bomb. Again, going back to this is my personal story, but I know there's women out there
Yeah.
who are in their wounded
Yeah.
feminine. If this is speaking to you, like I was there. And
Mm.
I had to like, sorry for all the metaphors, but like I had to kind of like smash that snow globe and get out to be like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out here outside of this of this relationship.
Yeah.
And I could learn a lot from it, from being outside of the snow globe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got out of the cave.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's so interesting because you are able to speak about all this with such clarity right now and also with humor. And it's, first of all, thank you for sharing all your story. And maybe behind the humor, I'm sure there's a lot of pain. Can you share what is that pain? Like, what do you feel like motherhood and then the process of breaking up with your husband took from you, from the expectations you had for your life? Because it sounded like, you were traveling the world, you were doing these things, you did want a child, but you had, correct if I'm wrong, maybe an expectation of how your life, how this fantasy perfect life should
Mm-hmm.
be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
at some point, and then it sounds like motherhood came to you and you realized,
Mm-hmm.
oh, motherhood is the real thing. What I was living maybe was not the real thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where did you want to go before that motherhood then paused you from going?
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
If there is a place.
I don't think I really wanted to go anywhere. I think I was just like, I thought that I could do it all. I wanted it all. Like I had in my mind, again, going back to old Megan in her 20s, I thought I had it all. I had what I thought was the perfect guy, the most exciting relationship. Again, who gets to like travel find a person who travels exactly the same way as they do? That's rare, like to
Mm.
be able to really enjoy long-term travel like that. And I thought, you know what? Like, again, maybe this is like the romantic way that I was brought up or whatever, or how women are brought up. And I'm like, hey, let's tie this fantasy with a ribbon and let's have a baby. Let's now we're complete. You know what I mean? Like we've had all these experiences together and a baby will complete us. I know, again, that's kind of the wrong place to want to have a child, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, and then we'll be done. This is complete. Our story will be perfect and done with the ribbon at the top. So it wasn't so much I was trying to go somewhere. I just thought, hey, another addition to my life that I already think is perfect. But then when I had that thing added, which was motherhood, it kind of, I think it was the catalyst to start breaking down the things that were already that should have already ended, such as my relationship. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
becoming a mom
Yes.
kind of catalyzed the breakup that should have happened a long time ago. When the first affair happened, it was in 2020. That was when I should have broken up. I should have ended it. But I didn't,
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, we can still make this work. Again, very delulu, very, oh my gosh, I don't know. But me, 34-year-old Megan, had I been in that spot, it would have been like, oh, you have an affair? Okay, bye. We're done. And I can say that easily, but past Megan, she couldn't do that yet. And then I got pregnant. And so I had to go through that extra period of turmoil. And I think that was life kind of I think life was using motherhood as a way to just start breaking things down around me. We need to start afresh. You know how sometimes the project you're like, yo, this is not going anywhere. We just got to break things down.
Yeah.
I know you told me you were moving, so an image that comes to my mind is just demolition, break down the house, build a new one. And so I think motherhood was kind of like that thing.
Yeah.
Put motherhood on top and all the rocks come tumbling down. I think that was why I had to become a mom. Not only that, but so life could teach me not just all this crappy stuff like, oh my gosh, tear everything down, but also was teaching me you're capable. You may not realize this right now, but like you're going to do the damn thing. You think you need XYZ for perfect life or whatever, but what I'm trying to teach you over the course of these years, so right now it's 4 years of me being solo, it's trying to teach me like, look, all these conceptions that you had of what you need to be happy, whether in a relationship or as a parent, they're just concepts. I'm trying to teach you something else. I'm trying to teach you that you can do this alone. I'm trying to teach you to be happy with your life right now as it is before I add something else into it, such as a relationship, right? Such as this love, this balm to this loneliness that I'm feeling. I feel like life is holding that for me for now. And it's given me these 4 years plus of solo to teach me like, you need to be fine with yourself first. And I'm not going to give you anything else until you learn to be happy with what you have right now, with this version of motherhood that you have, with this version of life that you have. I need you to be happy with that right now and be grateful for that now so that you're ready to receive this next thing that I have for you. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. The cusp
And how
of
does
that.
it feel in your body? Saying that, living that right now.
It feels peaceful. It's scary. I think the unknown is scary for me, especially as someone who's very type A. I like to plan. I like to kind of know what's coming up. I like to prepare. And this is one of those things. I'm sorry if this is kind of woo-woo spiritual, but I am spiritual.
No.
It's one of those things where it's abstract, but it's concrete at the same time. Like, what I mean by that, I know the blessings are going to come. And I know this is Delulu, but I know my book's going to get published because I believe in it. I know I'm going to find my next love. I know my daughter's going to be okay. How is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? I have no clue. But what life is teaching me is you don't need to know. Past Megan, she needed to know these things. Tell me.
She needed
Tell me the
to
details.
do the script. And now
Yes,
you're
so I
learning to let go of that script and let life
exactly.
script it out for you.
Life is like, let the spreadsheet go. Let the timeline go. And just life is like your only job right now is to just be present for yourself and your daughter. And love yourself. Be full in yourself. Stop chasing. Stop. Like, I walked around with this hole inside of me that I didn't know, this hole that needed to be filled with other people's validation. And life is like, fill that hole up with yourself. And I need to see you do that for a while before you're ready to receive the next thing. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now.
You're in it. It sounds like present. Really, I can feel it even in how you're describing being your body. If you were to think then of two things about you right now that don't seem to go together, but both feel true,
Ooh.
what would that be?
A quote comes to my mind. These are not my words. I saw it on like Pinterest or something.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people resonate. It goes like, it is possible to be a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. And I feel like I've seen that quote. I've known about this quote for a long time, but I feel like it's only now that it's really resonating with me. Because as I said, I'm type A. I like to plan. I like to achieve. And this executioner part of me is really, it struggles with that of like the unknown, right? Of not being where I want to be, the published author, the financially stable, all of that. But why I like this quote, it's like, that doesn't mean you're not awesome as you are. Like, because I operated my whole life thinking I have to get to the end destination. I have to be there standing at the finish line for people to love me and value me. I have to be there. And I need proof. I need photos. I need videos that Megan's standing at the finish line. Right. And now it's like, you know what? I'm still running the race. Maybe I'm still in lap 1. I don't know. But that's fine. And the fact that I can sit here and be happy with that and be like, you know what? People see me running the laps and they see me not at the finish line. And now life is telling me, like, people can still admire you and think you're beautiful even if you're not at the finish line yet. Like, that's okay. So that's where I'm at right now. It's 2 different concepts, right? I need to be there now, but life is telling me it's okay to be in the waiting. Sit in the space, be okay in the space of unknown, and then I'll make things happen for you. But I need to see you okay in that space first, because that's how I know that you'll be ready to be at the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfinished. It's unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
What are you excited about this unknown real path in front of you?
I'm excited because I think the most awesome things can present themselves to you when you're not contriving it or trying to arrange it. And this brings me back to like what I loved about traveling. And it's something that I really miss doing. But my style of traveling is I don't make an itinerary. I have the guidebook, yeah, but I just, what I like to do is I like to talk to the people. I like to kind of wander the streets, be like, yo, I'm hungry. Do you have a place you recommend? Right? Or, hey, like I just go with the flow. I think it's so fun to travel that way. It's the one part of my life where I'm not type A. I think I'm really weird like that. I'm type A everywhere else, but when it comes to travel, if I didn't have a kid, I'd literally be like, I'd be just flying somewhere random and I'd be like, yo. And so I bring that up because that's kind of how I'm seeing this phase of my life. I have this path in front of me, right? And life is telling me, you already know how to do this. You already did this when you were traveling. And I'm just asking you to tap into that same energy of like, just trust. Just trust that the places I'm going to lead you to, the people you're going to meet are exactly where you need to be, who you need to meet. Because you're just flowing. You're not contriving. You're not planning. You're not being like, oh. And not to say there's anything wrong with that. Again, I don't want it to be like, oh, F dating apps and all that. Like, there's a time and place for that, yes. But I think for me, my specific situation, I have this feeling that it needs to be organic. The stuff that's, put in the work. I'm putting in the work, like writing my book, being there for my daughter. But outside of that, just let go. Open the fists, right? And trust that what's going to come into your path is exactly what needs to come into your path. So I think that's what's exciting for me, because I know from experience when I traveled that way, it was miraculous. It was beautiful. I loved it. There were places that I never would have discovered had I not traveled in that way of just like, oh, speaking to this random person. Oh, hey, did you know about this island? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what island? Right? If I had just followed my guidebook, I never would have found the island. But because I talked to these randos,
yes,
I found the island. So in my mind, this is the same. Like, if the beauty and the blessings are going to come, I just need to trust and just flow. And I know that life will take me there. So I think that's really exciting. It's kind of like a mystery package that it's going to arrive at your door. Like, you know how when you order something from Amazon, you're like, I know it's going to come. Like, you don't think twice. It's like you place your order with the universe, you know what I mean? I know it's going to come, but think about it like a mystery package. Like you place this order with Amazon, but you don't know what's inside the box. But when you open the box, it's exactly what you need, if not more. Does that make sense? It's like this super exciting feeling. It's coming towards you. It's coming, but you don't know what it is, but it's going to be amazing. Because you trusted.
Megan, thank you so much. You are so deep, yet so light,
Thank
and
you.
willing to be open about the raw moments that many, if not all, women go through. And I am so excited for you. I want to stay in touch and hear how your travel inside your own life happens, how your book unfolds, and how you keep growing within your own life. So thank you so much for your time. It was really cool to just hear your story and reflect on it with you.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. And again, like, I feel like that's my mission. It's like if I just touch anyone out there and if they see themselves in even one aspect of my story, And if what they take away is like, you know what, it's going to be okay. I know it's hard right now. Like to the woman out there who maybe she is pumping at a table, right? Maybe she's pumping right now. And she's like, how am I going to get through this? I just want to speak to her right now and be like, it's going to be okay. You may not know how it's going to be okay or how it's going to work out. But as I said before, you've got you. Even if everyone else abandons you, your partner, your family, who's with you all the time? You. Your brain, your soul, your body, you've always got you, girl, and you're gonna figure it out. Like I know you are. So if even one woman out there gets that message from this, like that makes me so happy. So thank you so much for having me too.
Thank you.
Of course.
This is Inner Lives. Thank you for listening. I hope this conversation reminded you that the tensions, contradictions, and unfinished parts of you are often far more universal than they feel. Until next time.